the big guys who do SAG, the Kendrick brothers, different ones like that, do well because they've already had 10 years experience and they're follow SAG rules and all that. But the other 2,000 Christian filmmakers are not very good. And their storylines are often awful. Everything's awful. So that's why I went ahead, put it directly called The Christian Filmmaker, and that's who's buying the book a little bit at a time. And even them, they're probably mad at me for reading it.
Welcome to The Downing Cut. Today my guest is an actor, producer, and writer whose film career began in Austin in 2005 and has taken her through award-winning writing rooms and an Emmy-winning production under director Anthony Giacchino. She is now based in Seattle metro area with her company Mistable Entertainment. She is gearing up for her latest projects, Window, Noah's Ark, and Jonah and the Whale. Welcome to The Downing Cut, Susan Elaine Smith. How are you, Susan?
Hello, I'm doing great, and I appreciate and am honored that you have invited me to this podcast. So I've watched some of your views or whatever you call them shows, and I've really enjoyed them and learned from all the other filmmakers. So appreciate
Well,
you.
thank you. I appreciate you coming on board. You have a lot of experience, and I'm looking forward to diving in. And so one of the things I wanted to ask you is, at what exact moment when you started getting into film or writing and you figured out you're just not dabbling in it, you're diving into the industry?
I would say when we started working on Friday Night Lights TV series as background artists, and then it turned out that me and my children are all very photogenic. I was especially photogenic when we were younger, when I was younger. And so they used us as featured extras. So we got to work with the different people and be on camera with them more. So from then on, it just kind of kept steadily making a pace toward what I do now.
Yeah. So did you start off as a background actor?
Yes. So my life is a series of miracles and adventures. So I was in North Houston area, Conroe, and I had already done drama. I had been in theater and somewhat, and then in high school. And so I was around 38, and my teenage daughter said, I heard there's an open casting call. And I wrote about all this in my the Christian Filmmaker by my pen name Zanne, Zanne Smith. It's really hilarious, but I'll try to shorten it. So my daughter said they're having an open casting call in Huntsville. Can we go? I was like, no, I'm raising 3 kids. I've got this, and this going on. No way. So she bugged me for 2 weeks. So finally I said, okay. So we went to the open casting call, and then it was 2 blocks of lines for the Life of David Gale. We did not know at that time it was Kate Winslet and Kevin Spacey. So I'm like complaining and griping the whole time. She's going, please, Mom, please. So, like I said, the funny story is all in the book. It's too long, but basically I got picked. She did not get picked. So, turns out Alan Parker, the director, picked the featured extras personally. So we got at the front of the line. They said, go get your props. We went, and the props was a big Bible, were Bibles and crosses. And I got the biggest cross and the biggest Bible I could find. I'm in the clip. I'm in the scene. her scream scene. I call it her scream scene near the end. I'm right behind her. He would not, Alan kept fussing at me, and I kept hearing that I could get paid because he was directing at me, but because I'm too expressive. And so when she's screaming, I'm going like, ah, and he goes, quit making expressions. It needs to focus on her. So anyway, that was the short version of me working directly 1 foot away from, because she would push through the crowd and I was the one she pushed at the front. So that was my very first job as a background extra, working with Kate Winslet.
Let's talk about your book, The Christian Filmmaker. What ignited you to write that?
I wanted to show, first of all, I have details in all the movies that I've been in. I've been with Jennifer Garner, so it's actually going to be a series. That was the first book. This is the first book. I'm working on the second. So it's kind of small. It may be 80 pages. But I have amazing details of all the behind the scenes that's never been revealed in Hollywood. And I try to be kind, uh, you know, but I mean, there's some amazing things that happen, and it's not part of Hollywood history. And so there are a few people buying the book. I have not good, not great. I will say nice, but not great relatives. So not a few of them. So I haven't sold a whole lot. But anyway, I have amazing details, number one. Number two, I'm explaining the process to the Christians who are in filmmaking now. The genre in general is a complete mess, the Christian filmmaking mess. They have the big guys who do SAG, the Kendrick brothers, um, different ones like that do well because they've already had 10 years experience and they're follow SAG rules and all that. But the other 2,000 Christian filmmakers are not very good. And their storylines are off and awful. Everything's awful. So that's why I went ahead, put it directly called The Christian Filmmaker, and that's who's buying the book a little bit at a time. And even them, they're probably mad at me for reading it. So, because I tell it like it is, I'm a truth teller. I have to work very, very hard to watch my words.
Can you give me a little snippet on something that you said Hollywood doesn't talk about that you put in your book?
The very first thing that happened is we called them the wardrobe witches. Is when we were in holding, waiting to go to wardrobe, one of them starts yelling, "Here's the wardrobe witches. They criticize everybody." And sure enough, I have a thyroid problem. It's pretty severe. And so I have my weight, even though I'm very photogenic. So sure enough, I got in there and they ripped me to shreds. And I was like, I need to leave. I need to get out of here. And then I'll go ahead and give one of the secrets away from the book. They put me in the ugliest outfit they could find. And I said, this is not fitting of an outfit according to the role I'm supposed to play as a Christian holding up Bibles. And they go, this is what we want you to do anyway. Quit arguing. So I traded during the break before we went on camera. I traded a coat, my coat, because I was on the front row and this lady had the beautiful coat. And the wardrobe witches did not know that I did that. So I was on camera with a beautiful denim jacket all decorated. And when they finally caught me, I was in so much trouble, but they had already done 2 days of scenes, so they couldn't erase it.
continuity. Yeah.
I tell people, I put in the book, do not do that. You will get kicked off the set. But I got away with it.
You said that the Christian filmmakers, like the Christian films, are not very good with the way they're written, the storylines. Is that why you wrote? Is this book geared towards people who want to make Christian films?
This one is, yes. And I need, because I have new actors for the film I'm currently doing. It's called Windows, because you see from each side the different generations want the same window, but one's looking one way, one's looking the other. So I'm training new actors. Some of them have never been in film before. And so I need to write a general manual. There is some out there, but they don't know where to look. They don't know anything. So that's my next project.
So are you basically teaching them how to act?
Yes, teaching them how to act, teaching them on set protocol. This is in the Christian Filmmaker. And then also teaching them in person, my actors that I hire. There's so much to set protocol. I got to teach a few classes on the culture of film and the set protocol of film to some students in Uganda at a film school. And they said they appreciated that more than any other, because they always hear technique, but you never hardly hear about film culture and set protocol. And that's kind of what the Christian Filmmaker is about.
So you've been on 5 award-winning writing teams. What's one idea that you refuse to kind of let go?
It's called Savannah and Pepperoni, and he changed it to, it's Keith Jacobs. He changed it to Savannah's Place. And basically, he had a good storyline, but gave me the crappiest script you can imagine. So Mike Fox is a very talented, award-winning Christian writer, director, producer. So he contacts me. He has Keith Jacobs to agree to pay. He contacts me and said, "Can you fix the script?" So I still have it on my computer. I had 75 points of had to be fixed on the script. And he didn't like it at all that I had 75 points. But in order to have a good script, that's what we had to do. And so that's one of the ones that won and still wins when he submits it. But the problem is, because he was the producer, he takes the credit. So he refused my IMDb, but finally Mike Fox spoke to IMDb and got the credit on there.
Susan, you started off, you've done acting, you've done writing, producing. Which one is louder in your head when it comes to the skill set? Which one do you like the most?
I believe the 21 years of all that I've done was for producing, because I absolutely love it. And probably casting. I love casting and finding new talent. But producing in general, it's just amazing, and it's the hardest thing. As a matter of fact, this week I said, "Lord, I want to quit. Please, please let me quit. I need to die. Go ahead and kill me now." You know? But at the same time, it's the one I love the most. It's absolutely amazing.
What is it you like about producing?
I like the creative process of putting everything together, looking for the locations, finding the amazing, beautiful, talented actors and new people that I have. I just like the creative organizational part, I guess is what you would say. Putting everything together.
Did you start producing after you've created Mistable Entertainment, or was that before then?
That was I'm considered a freelance or contract laborer because I've actually been helping everybody else who didn't know what the hell they were doing, especially in the Christian market. So I actually have been producing and not got the credit for the sleepover. I went ahead and called myself associate producer, and they took it because there's no way he would have gotten it done right. At least initially. As a matter of fact, he said this was just a dream, and you helped me get started. You started everything, but then that ended up being I don't want to get sued, but there ended up being some inappropriate behavior on that. And so I had to quit that one, and so he got mad about that.
So let's talk about the short film Priceless. It looks like you had multiple roles on that.
That was the first behind the scenes short film that I got to work on and got paid right after I took film classes at Bossier Parish Community College. Right after Hurricane Katrina, my husband got transferred to Louisiana, and I ended up going to film classes, and that's the first behind the scenes job I got as a result. And so it was the Ian Farrell and Terry Robinson are very talented short filmmakers, but they were one of the ones that didn't know a whole lot what they were doing at the time, though they will say otherwise. And so I had to contribute a lot. And I discovered the young man who has since been in like 6 or more indie films in the Louisiana area.
Let's talk about Mistable Entertainment, your production company. What are you trying to accomplish with this company, and how do you want it to grow?
Okay, so Mistable Entertainment is my faith-based company. However, when people hear that, they instantly think the typical Christian genre. So I like to say it's my edgy, progressive, faith-based company. I tell people, do not call it a faith-based company. At least put edgy in there. Because as a multicultural minister, I had taken multicultural classes at Texas A&M. I really like diversity. I like diverse ideas. I like truth. And the Christians like comfortable. I will say that in general, 90% of the Christians like comfortable, don't stir the waters. According to my religion, my agenda, you know. So I address issues LGBT. I have friends there. I've studied the Hebrew on that, and the Hebrew is completely different than the Christian doctrine. And so I have LGBT in my writings. I have sex, all kinds of stuff.
So if it's a faith-based, like how does that work? Who's your audience?
The audience is actually supposed to be the millions and millions and millions and maybe a billion people who have dropped out of churches, who but still consider Jesus important, or consider him or consider the Bible important, but they can't take the church culture. The windows that I'm working now, I checked with all the actresses and actors. I said, look, this is faith-based, but this is controversial. I said, do you want me to take out these scenes and these lines? And I believe most of them are under 40, and every one of them said no. And one girl said, my father's a Baptist pastor in Oklahoma, and you're speaking right on. Because in this one, since it's filming in July, I changed it up because of the I don't know if you've heard what's happening now, the cover-up culture and scandals, all the scandals and all. So I added the word cover-up culture in there in this film that we're doing in July.
Are you filming here in Seattle?
Yes, and Auburn area where I live.
How did you find your cast?
I put it out the most popular sites now. It used to be Craigslist, but the most popular now are Seattle actors and producers and film actors and crew in Seattle are the two sites on Facebook that you get most of your casting calls now.
Now you also have a new film coming up, Noah's Ark. Tell me what you're envisioning on that.
That will be in the fall, and it's basically the sizzle reel. So that's another long story condensed. Okay, so in 2005, when we were going to Austin and we lived there for a while, that's when my ex-husband's drug problems started. So we didn't live there long because of that. But anyway, Rabbi Chaim Richman, who was at the time, was the B-level 40-year-olds of rabbis in Jerusalem. Now, because the upper layer have died or retired, they're all 80. He's 60. He's one of the top 5, if not the top rabbi in Jerusalem. So he was having a speaking tour through Austin. So I went because I do have some Jewish descent. And I ended up meeting him afterwards, talking to him. And I had already been working on Noah's Ark. Well, so for 20 years, I've studied under him. And if he mentioned even the slightest manuscript relating to Noah's Ark, like one that people haven't heard is, I think it's called the Book of Adam and Eve. The first 6 chapters are very reasonable. After that, you can tell it was added on later. So any of these tiny manuscripts, I got details down. So that's now to protect it. I put it in the Amazon book. The Legend of Noah is about his entire life. Some people I found out I write literary fiction. So they found it a little too philosophical. And so then I wrote The Ark and the Flood. That's on Amazon. They're both by Zan Smith, Zanne Smith. And I did that more commercial. Turns out there's commercial fiction, there's literary fiction. So The Ark and the Flood is the second one. That's basically on the flood. And I made it, the film would be called Deluge. But I made those 2 titles easy to look if you're referencing it. So anyway, there's been 20 years of journey. All kinds of 100,000 things have happened. It's on when you're on the road, the signpost keeps showing you to the end. So anyway, I figured out a way to do a sizzle reel in fall that's not going to cost very much. So to give certain scenes and things. So we're going to do a sizzle reel. The plan is eventually, and it sounds crazy, except for the 20-year journey on the road with all the signposts. But the goal is, I've even talked to the agents of some of the people. Pierce Brosnan's my number one person I want for Noah. And they all said, you've got to have minimum of $5 million in the bank with more to come. To get a SAG actor. So I have spread it around Hollywood. I announced it. I brought it in newspapers all over the country, Washington Post, all that, to claim the story. Because the Ark encounter in Kentucky is amazing from a science and a religious perspective. But that's all it's going to be. It's going to be a dumb Noah movie or a science religious perspective. And mine goes, I have 50 secrets that 90% of the world does not know. All of them at once. They all know maybe pieces of it. But I have 50 secrets in these 2 books that 90% of the world does not know because I got the details from the ancient manuscripts. So that's the story on that.
You're basically creating a sizzle reel, a trailer to kind of highlight certain things about the film that you want to make. And then are you like, what is the goal after that? Is it just to attract attention or to get funding, or like what is your process?
Yes, Seattle International Film Festival is, I don't know the correct term, but it's one of the Oscar contender film festivals. So in order to win an Oscar for a short film, you have to be at these certain festivals. You know, you have to go up the ladder, kind of like a beauty pageant. And Seattle is one of those. So I want to do a sizzle reel and then enter it into, that's the only film festival I have, because the people who are scouting good movies, good plots, good producers, writers, etc., will be at the Seattle International Film Festival.
So the goal is to get an Oscar?
No, the goal is to get the notice and attention. So a sizzle reel is basically to get investors. So it's to, so the goal is that, so as they say, you know, everybody has in film, they have the small dreams, the step by step, and then they have the big. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do? So Noah's Ark and Jonah and the Whale has not been done. Jonah and the Whale has only been done in cartoons or documentaries, just like Noah and the Ark, because usually either cartoons, documentary, or stupid bird fart jokes. And so both of those have not been done in 21st century technology. And so that's why they definitely have potential. And see, the problem is in Christian and in the world in general, as we know, if I was a man doing this, if I was a young 35-year-old man, bam, I would have had funding, attention, everything right off the bat. Noah's Ark and Jonah and the Whale, if done well as a SAG film, have potential for billions and billions. And I've even approached the Christian filmmakers, which is why I had said I had made the announcement everywhere. It's because I want to protect it. This is my idea. I am the one working on it. You know, not the Ark Encounter. They have their little religious videos for that they sell. But anyway, I've contacted all the major guys, and they're all going, when you get a few million and can pay us, tell me. When, I mean, really, it can make billions and billions of dollars, these two films. So, I mean, I'll die trying. That's what they say.
Have you ever like, did you write the script out and then have it copywritten?
I've written the script about 20 times probably, and then I keep getting new information because a lot of the ancient manuscripts are still being just now translated. So I keep getting
Wow.
new, like I was working on a film, some independent films in Utah, and I got the thought, go to the museum and look up pterodactyl. Because I have in there before the flood that they were riding pterodactyls. And that sounds really crazy, except when you examine all the facts that the animals were veggie eaters, you know, and all that. And so I asked them in Salt Lake City, do you have a pterodactyl bone? They said, bones. They said just one. So I went and looked at it. One bone in the pterodactyl wing is 6 feet long and bigger than a baseball bat. So they could have definitely held humans. So there's just all kind. So I do make it a sci-fi, you know, and it has on there that they were training them to fly. I mean, these legends come from somewhere. You know, in Glen Rose, Texas, they have the Christian Dinosaur Museum, and they have the huge dinosaur prints walking alongside the man in Glen Rose, Texas. So, I mean, it is a possibility.
So you're telling me that is this related to Noah's Ark? You're saying that is this related at all with pterodactyls being on Noah's Ark, or you're just saying that the people in Noah's Ark's time were training dinosaurs.
Yeah, before the flood, I believe they were training them to ride. Animals were not scared of man at that time, according to the legend. Okay, this, I do call it a legend because legend can be based on stories and then blown out. Before the flood, it is entirely possible that they were training pterodactyls to fly. And so that would be part of the Noah's Ark movie. And see, that's not comfortable for Christians. So that's why I'm saying secrets like this would not be in anything the Ark Encounter did.
I'm fascinated. It makes me think of Passion of the Christ, right?
Yeah, his was pretty controversial. And even The Chosen. I mean, Dallas has gotten thousands and thousands of hate letters that he doesn't follow scripture, but what he does is he does the same thing. He looks up the ancient manuscripts, he gets Bible scholars, he does study science, all that. And half of the country doesn't watch The Chosen because it doesn't stick strictly to the Bible. It's like, do we want religion or do we want truth?
Do we want religion or do we want truth?
That's true. That's true. That's a good saying. But that I said that.
So tell me about Jonah and the whale. Why do you want to tackle such a big story, and how would you go about doing that one?
My Jonah and the Whale is so cool, and it's inspired by Drew Barrymore. I had not thought about writing it at all, and I read that this was 15 years ago at least, that Drew Barrymore was starting a perfume company on ambergris, because ambergris was an old ancient perfume that they don't use as much. And it's whale vomit. And it has the most amazing smell. The more it ages, the more that it smells better. And so I read that. I went, oh my goodness. And I looked up ambergris. So it turned out that Jonah smelled amazing because of ambergris. And that's how it started. So I started doing the research on the stomachs in the whales and all that type of stuff. And then I have a subplot of call Hollywooded it up, where the king's daughter falls in love with the young prophet. Because God always, he never just sends one person. He sent probably 50 prophets or more to Nineveh before Jonah ever arrived. So I portrayed Jonah as the religious, self-righteous guy, and the young prophet as the Jesus figure who talked about love, the love of God.
So let me ask you this, Susan, because you're going down a path that is not comfortable for Christians, for religious folks, but you're looking at faith-based folks. But at the same time, you're trying to retell Bible stories. Why are you trying to stick to the Bible story versus going off the rail and doing something unique?
Everything I do is unique. I don't do anything the same way as everybody else. But the main reason is because of my children and the so many young people I met in entertainment through film that have been abused in horrible ways and in many ways by so-called quote-unquote Christian churchgoers. And so that's why there could be easily as many as 1 billion people on this earth who've been abused by people who claim the name of Jesus. And it's to that generation that I'm speaking of, mainly under 40. That's why I had to leave.
So
Why
there's
do
a
you
message
think I'm...
behind your film.
Yeah, why do you think I'm all the way to hell away from Texas and Seattle? It's because California was too close, and they still caused me trouble down there in Texas, across the country, and they all go to church. It's just, I have a soapbox I shall not get on today about Christian abusive churchgoers. And so I'm speaking to all these young people who are desperate for hope, but they've been broken so many times by Christian abusive churchgoers. So
tell me about your YouTube series.
the Becoming Standard. So when I can't think at the moment the name of the film. I was in Killeen, Texas, working on a short Christian film right after they had a mass shooting there. And so we were sitting around eating lunch, and the guy said, "I'm from here." It was a older gentleman. I said, "Oh, then you were around the mass shooting like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago." He goes, "I was a doctor in the clinic that it happened, and I just happened not to be there that day." And I said, "Oh my goodness." I said, "Did you know the guy?" He said, "I knew him for 2 years. We were friends." I said, "Did you have a clue?" He goes, "No, nobody in the office had a clue that he was secretly planning to kill us all." And that's where this Becoming Standard started. So they're each telling part of the story, and it's about an office worker who nobody had a clue that he was going to shoot everybody. And so they all tell part of their story.
So it's a fictional story based on real life events.
Yes. Which is most of my, like I said, I have such a strange life with entertainment on one hand. And then I originally wanted to go to social work. So I minister to the homeless, the outcast, the abused. So with the entertainment on one hand and then the multicultural minister on the other, I have plenty of stories. So that's why everything I write is different.
So when you said you had mentioned that one of your favorite parts about producing is the casting. So let's talk about actors and what you're looking for. Is there anything that you're specific about, or a little checklist that you have that when you audition people or you're looking for actors, what are you specifically looking for?
I'm looking for people like myself who have it in their heart all their life. They wanted to act, they wanted to be a part of the movie, but they didn't look good enough, they didn't act good enough, weren't pretty enough or whatever. So of course I get for the leads, I go ahead and get the young, beautiful, experienced actors because that's what attracts attention. But then I get the supporting actors is people that are overweight, that look a little funny, have never done it before and might not know how to groom properly for the camera or whatever. And so I've launched in the 20-year period. I've helped over 100 young people get into the entertainment industry. I've mentored them, basically about 3 a year. I'd say I figured it out, 3 to 5 a year.
So it's basically you're looking for people who have passion.
Yes, so that's the basic. Is they said, "Oh, I've wanted to act all my life," because I'll ask them a little bit before I say, "What makes you want to get into this?" If they're just like, "Oh, I want to make $1 million and I want to be famous and all that," I'm like, no. As a matter of fact, I have turned down narcissists since I'm so well acquainted with that. So there's been quite a few really experienced people, and if they show any narcissist tendencies, ain't no way they're going to be working for me, because I'm not going to put up with it, and haven't. I've fired some, and that's another reason I get in trouble. So
What kind of advice would you give to newcomers who want to become actors?
most of them, I tell them to start studying YouTube videos on everything at the beginning, and then get if they can go to college, university, or acting workshops, the various acting and film workshops that are held around the area, then it's training. It's got to be training and discipline. And also, if they cannot follow instructions, that's a big one. Like, I'll put send your resume and your headshots in. And then on the casting call, and 20 people will say, I'm in, I want to do it, contact me. And some of them are pretty experienced. And I'm going like, send your resume and headshots in. And that narrows it down right there because most of them can't even do that. So,
Do you think a paper resume or a PDF resume is that still adequate?
oh yeah, because casting directors can see their skills. Like some people may do things like roller skating or hula hoops or whatever, and you can use that in there, and they can see also how much training they've had and how much experience in front of the camera. So yeah, the resumes are very, very important. And the other thing that's important that I would say 60% of people in the industry don't do is IMDb. There is people that have 5 to 10 years of experience, and then they have maybe 3 IMDb credits, because that's another thing of discipline. IMDb will take an hour. They are so complicated to do one credit, but you've got to do it. You've got to do it. And that's why I think I counted last, I had 37 credits because I put my stuff on there. And when I think about, I keep trying to think of new ones that I was on, that it's not on IMDb that I was on in the past, because so many of mine before, I would say 2020, I didn't put down or they didn't get made or whatever. So whenever I can think of or look up something new, I put on my IMDb, and it takes a lot of time. And I keep saying, pay me and I'll do it for you. They want you to do it for free. I'm like, no way. It takes too much time. You got to pay me. And they don't want to pay you. So IMDb is also very important if you want to be a professional actor and progress in it.
So, Susan, thanks for coming on the Downing Cut. How can people reach out to you? What's the best way to contact you? So, social media.
Susan E. Smith on Facebook, and it's got my picture. And then you can direct message me.
Okay. Okay. I'll put the link in the show notes. And yeah, well, I appreciate your time. And I'll see everyone in the next episode.
Thank you.